Welcome into another edition of Laker Connections. We have a packed show for you today on WTOP 10, so let's dive right into it with some men's lacrosse action. Oswego State men's lacrosse went on the road looking to start off conference play with a win, taking on the Brockport Golden Eagles. Never an easy task, especially on the road. But Oswego State started things off on the right foot. Evan Holfelder finds Kyle Bacon streaking to the middle. He finishes for his 7th goal of the season. It's a 1-0 Oswego State lead. Then Owen Van Wee from distance buries that one to make it 1-1 just 7 minutes later in the first quarter. But Oswego State would answer again. Dan Doolin, the big fella, doing some work, cutting to the cage, and look at that move. Down low, up top over the shoulder, makes it 3-1 with 11:42 left in the second quarter. But then it's Brockport, Kieran Fitzgerald to Patrick Sheridan, and he's able to bury that one up over the shoulder of O'Donnell. 5-3, Brockport trails in the third quarter. But Oswego State would start to pull away. Tim Shaw, Bobby Emerson right inside the post. That made it 7-4 at the 8:38 mark of the third quarter. His second of straight 4 goals for Bobby Emerson, and the Lakers win 11-8. That's their first win over Brockport in the last 5 seasons.
And so, Cole, you just said it, first win over Brockport in 5 seasons. You're looking at a team that historically has had a great first half of the season, maybe a little bit of a rougher second half. What did you see in their first conference game that might avoid that?
Well, they limited runs. That's the big thing. And they were able to control the offense, control the pace, and they beat a Brockport team that they didn't over the last 5 seasons, like I already mentioned, but that they also were outscored by 19 goals over those last 5 meetings. So that was the biggest thing. But the not allowing runs, they didn't allow a 3+ goal run in that entire game. Oswego State had 1. It was all Bobby Emerson. His 4 straight goals was the difference. But the D stepped up for Kevin O'Donnell. They got up some stops and gave Oswego State that possession once again.
And so, Cole, now looking at the rest of the season, they're about halfway through. They got some big games coming up, both conference and in non-conference games. Potsdam and Plattsburgh, always big ones, obviously. What does this team have to do to get a couple of the big conference games or get a win against a couple conference teams?
Well, they need to shoot for around the 10-goal mark. That should be their goal every single game, because if you get to double digits, you're going to increase your ability to win games, just because the defense isn't going to have to make so many stops. Kevin O'Donnell, he was great in non-conference play, but SUNYAC play is a whole different animal. You can't rely on your defense, or you can't rely on Kevin O'Donnell, I should say, so much to make all those saves. You need to have your defense get stops, quick stops, and transitions up the field. That's winning battles for ground balls, winning face-offs, just generating that possession. But overall, if Oswego State is able to spread the ball around, generate shots, they should have a good chance against against Plattsburgh and Potsdam. Geneseo should probably be tough. But Cortland, Geneseo, you know, it's going to be up in the air. But this team, that's like the sky's the limits this year.
And now moving over to the women's side of lacrosse, the Lakers played in its 4th conference matchup of the season against SUNY Potsdam this past week on an April 6th. And Oswego State early on, 7-3 lead. But here's SUNY Potsdam. Here's Megan Page. She gets past 4 or 5 defenders and also gets a shot past Eliana Sanchez. The Lakers now leading 7-4, but now Lakers lead 9-4. Oswego State setting up a play off a free possession pass. Teresa Shattuck gets the ball to the left side, makes a lob pass to Tony Lanive right in front. She gets her 18th of the season. Oswego State now leading 10-4. Second half, Lakers leading 11-4. Pass from the outside corner to Molly Beck, goes up top. She gets around Megan Page and eventually a shot, around Katie Longamore, 12-4. Now the free possession goal for SUNY Potsdam goes down past Eliana Sanchez, goes up and hits the crossbar, barred down. Lakers only leading 14-10. SUNY Potsdam once again making this one interesting. Eliana Sanchez faked out. She goes to the right and the shot to the left, but Riley Jacqueline would get, with 31 seconds left, the game-sealing free possession goal to improve to 5-3 on the season.
All right, Ben, and the Lakers are 5-3 and 6 in the SUNYAC right now. One of the reasons for that is Teresa Shattuck. She has scored at least 7 points in the Lakers' win and just 2 in each of their 3 losses. Ben, what has her impact on the field been like for the Lakers, and what is it like when she doesn't perform up to what she could?
I think the big thing about her impact is looking at this, all the wins she has. 7 points against Clarkson, 12 against Lycoming, 7 against St. Lawrence. She had 7 assists against Potsdam this past weekend. So when she's on, as cliche as it sounds, she's on. But she, as an impact-wise, she's the senior, she's the captain, she's the quarterback of this offense, where if another team is prepared to, defend her, she's shut down immediately, and they don't have a second player they can really rely on. Maybe a little bit of Cameron Sherman, maybe a little bit of Bridget Regan, but they can't really rely on anyone as heavily as Teresa Shattuck. And the big thing of why they are so good at, or Teresa Shattuck is such a big impact. She's the quarterback of this offense, where she's behind the net at all times. And you saw on the highlight, she's to the left and just makes a little bit of a lob pass right to Tony Leneve, and all of a sudden she's right in front of Longamore, and she can't do anything about it because you're right in front with no defender in front of you. So when you're looking at it, stuff like that, where she's right in front, giving it to Regan, back Garrett, you know, you can't stop a shot like that.
All right, good points. Ben, on the other side of the break, we will be breaking down some baseball and softball from Oswego State. Just how many runs did the baseball team score in one game? Find out when we come back on WTOP 10.
Pretty good today, pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he called a pretty fair game.
Come on, man, that was a weak call.
Yeah, man, that ref is totally soft.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
And welcome back to Laker Connections. The Oswego State baseball team has been on an extended non-conference stint for this portion of its season. Going back to last week, Cole, how did the Lakers fare against St. Lawrence University?
Well, it was an exciting game, an interesting one to say the least. They scored a season-high 24 runs against the 2-11 St. Lawrence Saints. Last Wednesday, St. Lawrence scored 2 in the first inning off an Andrew Cercelli jack to left field, but the Lakers would answer in the home half of the inning with 3 of their own. Oswego State's offense would score at least 1 run over the next 6 innings, including 9 in the 6th to pull away for the 24-7 victory. Oswego State out-hit the Saints by a slim margin of just 1 hit, but 7 errors for the Saints proved to be the difference.
And after the dominating win over the Saints, the Lakers took on St. John Fisher College, who had received national votes in the rankings just last week. The Lakers fell 13-8 at St. John Fisher, and Oswego State jumped out to an early 4-0 lead before with a couple early runs batted in from Lucas Olson. But the Cardinals would score all 13 of their runs from the 4th inning on, holding Oswego State to only 4 more runs. Matt Bowman, despite only pitching 2 innings, was given the loss. In the second game of the doubleheader, the Cardinals were victorious 11-5. It was the same scenario as Oswego State, Oswego State held St. John Fisher scoreless for the first 5 innings, but could not finish the job after allowing all 11 runs in the next 3. Ryan Loomis recorded the loss for the Lakers.
Oswego State rebounded well against SUNY Canton in the doubleheader on Sunday, sweeping the day. The freshman Anthony Van Fossen was sent to the bump. He shut down the Roos over 5 innings, allowing just 1 hit. Oswego State's offense backed him with enough run support with 4 runs in the first 2 innings. Rocco Leone scored on a wild pitch in the first. Then Dylan Frawley walked in a run, fouled by Leone, getting a hit-by pitch to walk in another tally in the second inning. To round out the inning, Ryan Enos drove in a run with a sac fly to left to make it 4-0. Canton would score 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to make it an 11-3 ball game, but it was not enough. Oswego State won game 1 by 8 on just 6 hits. Game 2 was more tightly contested, though. It was the closest game ever between these two schools, with Oswego State coming out on top 1-0. A Lucas Olson sac fly in the first to score. Ryan Enos was all the scoring in this contest. Ben Wilcox got the win for the Lakers, allowing 2 hits and striking out 3 in the 7-inning affair.
And now moving over to the softball field, Oswego State took on Utica College in a doubleheader. The Lakers lost both games in the series, including the first game 4-2. The Lakers led 2-1 heading into the bottom of the 6th inning, courtesy of Aaron Sweeney stealing home for the first run of the game. Rebecca Vilches pitched the entire game and gave up the eventual 2 go-ahead runs after a sacrifice fly and a single to center field. In the second game, Oswego State lost 17-13, however. Aaron Sweeney and Angela Frampton both had 2 home runs each. Jenna Go also had 4 runs batted in. The Lakers saw 3 pitchers on the mound, with Angela Frampton giving up 10 runs in 3 innings.
And the softball team took the field on a brisk Saturday afternoon for a conference doubleheader with New Paltz. The only runs were scored in the 1st and 6th inning, both times by Oswego State in Game 1. Angela Frampton drove in a pair with her 4th long ball of the season to get the scoring started. Rebecca Vilches was on the rubber for Game 1, improving to 2 and 5. The 2 runs scored was all she needed, as she allowed just 3 hits to New Paltz over 6 innings of work, as Oswego State won 8-0. But Game 2 was another shutout. This time the Lakers were the team that couldn't muster any runs. New Paltz scratched across the run in each of the first 2 innings. Vilches was again called upon to pitch and allowed both runs, though only 1 was earned. With this doubleheader split, the Lakers open up conference play with a 1-1 record.
And continuing the SUNYAC trend, Oswego State faced SUNY Oneonta in a doubleheader on the softball diamond. Once again, the Lakers lost the first matchup 6-4 in extra innings, despite leading 4-3 heading into the 7th inning. Both Rebecca Vilches and Brianna Harrington pitched 4 innings, with Vilches giving up the game-winning runs in the 8th, and Zara McCullough led the team with 2 hits. The Lakers would earn redemption over the Red Dragons in the next game, however, after winning 7-5. Brianna Harrington had 2 hits, which included a home run, and scored 2 runs herself. Harrington also recorded the win after going 5 2/3 innings, allowing 7 hits and 4 runs. Oswego State is now 7-13 overall with a 2-2 conference record.
All right, and after the break, our moderator, Aaron Valentino, will be on set a little earlier than usual to introduce a new segment. Find out what that is when we come back on Laker Connections on WTOP 10.
You don't have to wear a uniform for service or sacrifice. Every day, ordinary Americans perform extraordinary acts of courage and selfless service. Please join us in recognizing citizen heroes who have made a difference in the lives of others through their acts of courage and selfless service in communities across America. Nominate a citizen hero today at themedalofhonor.com.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Here at WTOP, we pride ourselves on delivering you all the news you need to know from the day's events.
Whether it's happened on Capitol Hill or right here in Oswego,
we make sure you know all about it. We keep you up to date on all your favorite
Oswego and professional sports.
And our Storm Team 10 meteorologist will make sure that you know exactly what weather you're up against when you start your day.
Every Monday through Thursday night, make sure to tune in to Channel 10.2, because at WTOP, we don't just tell you the news.
We are
the news.
Welcome back to Laker Connections. I'm Aaron Valentino, and welcome to the first ever edition of Laker Predictions. With the baseball and lacrosse teams halfway through their respective seasons, we thought it would be fun to try and predict what would happen to each of these teams down the stretch. The guys will tell us how far the teams will go, who has been the most impactful player, and who needs to step up. Guys, let's get into this.
Sounds great.
The Oswego State baseball team is currently 15-8 and second in the SUNYAC, being 8-1 in conference play. The Lakers have been hitting the ball very well this season with a .290 batting average and a .405 on-base percentage, which is good for first in the SUNYAC. Guys, can the Lakers keep up this level of play?
I'll start, and I'll say yes, they can, but they're not playing the same Laker baseball that we saw last year, in the last 2-3 years probably, I would say. Right now, they're probably maxed out at where they're going to be. I don't think they're a better team than Cortland. I don't think they're going to host, and it's because their pitching just really is not up to par where it was in years past, even though head coach Scott Landers talked it up a ton preseason, said it was one of the better pitching staffs they've had. They're just not there. They're allowing 12 home runs. They have allowed 12 home runs, so far in the SUNYAC. That's most in the conference. They're allowing, as a team ERA, just under 5 runs, 4.68 as you see right there. And they're also have given up 77 free passes. That's third in the SUNYAC. D3 baseball is weird. There's going to be walks. There's going to be errors. But a pitching staff is how you can change all those things. And their pitching staff needs to be a lot better right now. That's what needs to improve from this Oswego State baseball team.
I can agree with that. But I want to say that I think the biggest thing is, like you said, they're where they are. I don't think they're going to be able to host. They had the opportunity to host last year, and obviously they did 2 years ago before it got rained out. But I think, honestly, they can get in second. But like I said, they're not better than Cortland. I mean, they weren't better than Cortland last year, but I think, honestly, they're going to have the mainstay at second place. But for me, my player to improve has got to be Brandon Nicholson, kind of moving toward that now, where his numbers are fine. He's at a .303 average. He's at 16 RBIs, but he has 22 strikeouts on the season. Not horrible numbers, but a player who came from a Division I school, Canisius College, not a big powerhouse, but also came from a junior college powerhouse in Niagara Community College. I expected more of him this season. I just don't think I've gotten that.
We'll see how the Lakers can finish their season. Moving on to lacrosse, the lacrosse team is 6-2 and currently sit at second in the SUNYAC with a 1-0 record in conference play. The Lakers have been highlighted by their stellar defense and star goalie, Kevin O'Donnell, who has a save percentage of 63.3%, which is first in the SUNYAC. Are the Lakers going to be able to take that next step and make an NCAA tournament appearance?
Ben, I'll start first again. I don't think they're going to make an NCAA tournament appearance. I think they have a chance to go deeper in the SUNYAC playoffs, though, this year. They had a first-round exit last year against Cortland, 3-3 record in the SUNYAC. They start off 1-0 on a really good foot, beating a Brockport team that they have struggled to beat historically. And this year, I think they have the right mix of freshmen and veterans in this lineup. Kevin O'Donnell's playing out of his mind. The defense is, again, stepping up and helping this Oswego State team out. I think they could maybe get as high as a 3 seed, being generous there maybe, but I definitely think this team makes the playoffs.
But the big thing for me is that they can make it, but they got to get the championship first before they can make the tournament. And
Agreed.
I know, Cole, we kind of had the same player. I originally chose your player to improve, but for me at least, it was Kyle Bacon. Last season, he led the team with 34 points. He had a phenomenal season. He had a top shot percentage, and as you see here, 345 last year, 34 points, 29 goals. Right now, he's at 7 goals, 13 points, and a 23.3 shooting percentage. For a player that was up top last year, who brought back Bobby Emerson, who's still up top for the Lakers, and adding all these underclassmen, he's got to include, and so does Caleb Alford. I know that's who you wanted to bring up.
Caleb Alford would be the guy who needs to improve. Last year, had 56 shots on goal. This year, just 7. He has 3 goals, no assists this season, and he's a secondary scorer who needs to help out guys like Bobby Emerson, like you mentioned. He would be my MVP, Bobby Emerson, but Caleb Alford needs to improve. 24 goals last year. He's not on pace to eclipse that, not even close, and he's also not facilitating like he was last year, but that's something where you can get going. Start to find guys, use your ability to facilitate, open things up if you're not scoring. Kyle Bacon is a guy that I would agree to, but Caleb Alford, I think that's the biggest key for Oswego State. If they want to keep scoring and reach that 10-goal mark, like I said, it's got to be Caleb Alford coming and helping out some secondary scoring.
And we will see if the men's lacrosse team can keep up this level of play. Finally, moving on to the women's lacrosse team, they're 5-3 and 6 in the SUNYAC with a 2-2 conference record. The Lakers have been scoring at an amazing rate of 16.14 goals per game and shooting at a high percentage, 52.3%. Guys, with the Lakers being 6th in the SUNYAC right now, can they make the SUNYAC playoffs?
See, I think they'll squeak in. I'm not going to say they'll make it to the championship, whatever. I don't think they're going to go as far as that. But the big thing is that, for me, they have to stop committing penalties. I said it earlier during the highlight read. the free possession goals were killing Oswego State. At the end of the first half on Saturday, they were up 10-4. 3 of SUNY Potsdam's goals came on the free possession. After a 15-11 for the final, 4 of their 7 were on the free possession. Obviously, Eliana Sanchez stopped a couple of them, but it was huge, the difference. And all of a sudden, Oswego State just shut down once the free possessions came around. So honestly, to combat that issue of making it in, the defense has got to improve to avoid getting the penalties inside that box.
For my improved player, I think they can get drawn a 4 to a 6 seed, but the player who needs to improve, I would say Eliana Sanchez, but it's really the whole Oswego State defense. Angela Ponto was an all-world goaltender last year.
And you can't blame Eliana Sanchez for coming in for that.
You can't, no, but you look at their numbers right there. Their team goals against average was just about 9 the 2 years prior with Angela Ponto. This year, with Eliana Sanchez in net, it's reaching the 12-goal mark. So you need to drop that down about 3 goals. If you can allow 3 less goals a game, your offense is going to have to work a lot less hard, but also that comes back to those free position shots, Ben. You bring that up, that's a good point, because if you're taking penalties like that, free position opportunities, you should be burying those around 50% of the time. Oswego State's struggling a little bit in that department right now, but the defense...
So it's for the good, the better, and the worst, to be honest with you, with the free possession.
I would agree. But yeah, 4 to 6 seed is probably where I see them. Eliana Sanchez, definitely think is a good enough goaltender. I don't think you can put it all on her shoulder, but it's the defense overall for Oswego State that needs to be better.
And, you know, I think for me, and we already kind of talked about it, and I got to agree with you there with the defense, improved player. You know, it's at the point where Oswego State has to find something instead of shutting down in the second half where, like you saw, they were up 10-4 or 11-4, and then it was 15-11 at the second half. And I got to agree, we can't blame Eliana Sanchez after having to replace this all-world goaltender, you said, Angela Ponto. But, you know, it's the defense that's going to make the big difference here.
Yeah. For MVP, I'd go Molly Beck, just to throw that in quick, too. She's an OCC transfer, taking that pressure off of Shattuck and Bridget Regan. 19 goals, second on the team. She had 67 in 2 seasons for OCC, and she has at least 2 goals in 7 of the 8 games. She's somebody who can be that secondary scoring that can really take the pressure off some of the other top players.
Great stuff, guys. But that's all the time we have for right now. But don't go anywhere. Laker Showdown is coming up after the break. Will Ben get his first win in 3 weeks? Find out next. You're watching Laker Connections on WTOP 10.
Hey, President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think?
My family and friends are always with me, no matter where I may be. Sharing stories from home helps me sustain my recovery from my mental and substance use disorder.
Hi, sweetheart.
Join the Voices for Recovery. Our families, our stories, our recovery.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Total, Baldwin faces 32 charges.
Saturday, I went to Woodchuck Saloon.
Too much temperature change.
1310 meteorologist.
2 as well.
Visions from Tanner Spink.
Go to 2-1.
2 with 6 and 10 on the year.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.
Welcome back to Laker Connections. It's now time for Laker Showdown. Ben, you got to get a win, man.
I don't
3
want to
weeks.
talk about it.
We're just going to get right into it. The Oswego State baseball team is 8-1 in conference play this year and sitting second in the SUNYAC. What player has had the biggest impact on the season so far? Cole, we'll start with you.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say Lucas Olson. He's a guy who has grown exponentially since his freshman year, getting more and more playing time, relied upon even more so by Coach Landers to control the pitchers, and he's a guy who is doing his best to try to improve what they're doing on the mound. But he's a guy who's composed behind the dish. He can throw guys out. He's a very good defensive catcher, but offensively, he's got 30 hits, 8 doubles. What
about Mike Delacari, though? My man Deli.
But that's so easy. He was a preseason All-American.
He's an All-American.
But that's the thing. I mean, think
so
outside the box, Ben.
Okay, here's the thing. You're talking about a sophomore where Delacari has had a big impact freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and now his senior year.
Well, we're not talking about this season. That's another thing. This season only. That was the question, right? Only this season?
Yeah, but
listen,
if you're going to bring up Olsen from his freshman year,
I was just talking about his growth specifically.
Okay,
and how
I'm talking about his impact and how that relates. Where he's been a leader all 4 years. He had the triple home run or the grand slam or whatever against St. Lawrence in 30-mile-per-hour winds over the fence. Who else can do that on the team?
Where was the wind going out? I could hit a ball
actually toward the fence.
I'll give him that. I'm not taking any away from Delacari, but it's Olsen behind the dish. He's the one who's
that's the time the buzzer ran. I got to give that one to Ben. He made the great point about Delacari being All-American. Great point there. Ben leads 1-0.
I made that point.
Actually, Cole made
that point.
The Lakers softball team is currently in second in the SUNYAC in errors with 43, and this is has this extremely poor defense had a big impact on a 7-13 season. Ben?
I don't think it's as much as the defense as it is. I don't think it's as much as the defense as the offense, however. Rebecca Vilches, Angela Frampton, they're both batting below 300, and they just aren't producing the same results. Cole's mad. They are producing the same results as they did last year. Both have less than 20 hits, not a lot of home run offense. As soon as the offense goes, the pitching can relax a little bit. But, you got players like Harrington, a freshman. She's been an impact freshman as early as it is. But with Vilches and Frampton, their pitching, their batting hasn't been where it was last year, and I think it just goes on to those two.
See, I would agree with you on that on first glance, but diving a little bit deeper, it's the defense that is letting them down. You look at Vilches, she's allowed 13 more runs this year because of errors. So there's 13 runs that aren't earned on her tab. Brianna Harrington has 8 runs that aren't earned. Angela Frampton has 14, and then Jessica Anello has only 4. It's the defense. You got to be able to make plays.
And I'll help your point a little bit since you helped mine. She's only pitched 6 innings, Anello. That's concerning. That is extremely concerning.
Yeah, it's the defense, and I know you're playing in crap weather in upstate New York. You're playing on some terrible field. I'll try to reserve myself a little bit. I'm still fuming about the last one. The defense has been bad. The pitching, you don't want to rest on that, but the offense needs to be better. 83 runs, 8 goals in the swing.
That is the buzzer.
To help out the pitching.
Cole, stop talking. You're getting the point on this one. You got to play defense. You can't have unearned runs on the scorecard. Tie game. Here we go. Earlier in the show, you guys talked about Teresa Shattuck and her impact on the team. She currently is in 5th in the SUNYAC in points with 46 and 2nd in assists with 36. With that being said, can Shattuck make first team all SUNYAC this season? Cole?
I think Ben and I both agree on this. I think most people watching SUNYAC women's lacrosse would agree, but I'm going to say it's not a lock that she makes first team.
That's where we disagree.
Because there's games
100%.
Where she's playing superior competition. You look at Utica, you look at Cortland.
Utica isn't SUNYAC, though.
Yeah, I know, but still, Utica is a team that's going to be good. Cortland and Brockport are both top teams in the SUNYAC, and she only produced 2 points in those. 3 assists total. That's her bread and butter. She's the playmaker. She's the quarterback of this team, like Ben talked about earlier. And against superior competition, she gets shut down. She gets frustrated, and she needs to be able to facilitate more, open up people. It's not all on her, but I don't think it's a lock.
I think it's a lock because who else does this on that team? Who quarterbacks this offense? She already has the assist record at Oswego State. I think if she hits the points record, which is 304, by the way, she's at like 292, 293, so we're on the Shattuck watch for that. But I think if she gets the points record more than she already has now, I think she's a lock because who else at Oswego State has done this? You haven't had a dominant player in maybe 3 or 4 seasons now, where all of a sudden you get this player from Syracuse who's played all 4 seasons, not even an OCC transfer, but she's a lock.
I gotta go with Ben on this one. He will get his win. That's all the time we have for tonight, but make sure you come back next week for all the latest news in Lakers sports. For Ben Grieco and Cole Parzik, I'm Aaron.